In this chapter, we'll talk briefly about NgInclude, a useful directive that Angular offers us to deal with templating. So, for example, things like loading HTML fragments in our page. Let's look about this directive and how we can use it inside our application. So first of all, what's that? It's an AngularJS core directive. It's used to load and compile the template specified in the src parameter, as you can see here. So basically we'll just use this directive in our code and we'll supply between the src attribute the URL that contains our fragment. The template name is enclosed within double quotes and in single quotes as well inside the double quotes. The reason why is because the actual parameter supplied to the src property will be an expression, as you have seen in other directives as well. So it means that you can also supply an expression that will be evaluated to a URL eventually, or you can simply call a method that will return you the URL that you want to load. This is a particular directive because you can use it in many ways. If you remember, there are three different types of directives, which are attributes directives, element directives, and class directives. You can have a directive that is available in both three ways, and this specific directive actually is, so you can use it as an element, as you can see from the example, or you can use it as an attribute, so you can type div NgInclude, or you can use it as a class, so it will be div class equals NgInclude. There are two optional attributes that you can set. One is the onload, which is an expression that will be evaluated whenever the view gets updated, or the auto-scroll in case you want to move the viewport to the actual partial that you just included whenever the NgInclude has finished compiling the template. The last thing we have to say about it is that it's used to load files that are in the same domain. If you want to load files externally, there is a way to do so. We can use a thing called string contextual escaping, which is a specific service we can use in Angular. We'll talk about that in an advanced lesson that will come later on. But anyway, whenever you use the service, you still need to be aware about the course and the same domain policies on your domain. We can now move into the actual code and we can try refactoring our code to see how we can use the NgInclude. Okay, we are now looking at the code. Let's see how we can refactor, for example, our index.html. There are some things that we can move into a partial. For example, we can move the entire navigation, so from line 22 to actually 42. So what I'll do is just basically remove this navigation from the index.html and I'll create a new file under my views, or actually we can create another folder which will be partials, and in here we'll create a file and we'll paste our code. This is our first step, and I'll call it nav.html. Now we want to include our nav.html code inside our main index.html, but we want to use the NgInclude directive. So I'll simply type div NgInclude, so I'm using the attribute directive, and then I'll type, we can get rid of those, and then in here I can type my path, which is partials / nav.html. I'll save my file and I refresh my index, and as you can see everything is still in place. But we want to divide our nav.html further. So for example, we want to take away the header, the navigation bar header. So we can simply copy these, create another file, paste it in here, and we'll call it header, or maybe nav-header.html. So what we can do now is actually have nested NgIncludes. So I'll go back to my nav.html and I'll do again div NgInclude, double quotes, single quotes, and then we'll do partials / nav-header.html. nav-header.html. I'll save it. I refresh my page and I'm expecting to see again the same identical layout, and as you can see it's still working. Let's have a look at that once again. In the navigation.html, the nav.html, we are including the nav-header.html, which is this partial, and in our main index HTML, we're just including the nav.html partial. So as you can see, you can basically structure your templates quite easily thanks to this directive, and you can use as well the auto scroll in case you want to move the viewport to a specific area when the actual template has finished loading. Before closing this lesson, I want actually to go back again to the NgView that we saw in the previous 3 lessons, and I want just to tell you guys that also NgView can be used in different ways. So this is the element NgView, or you can use it like div NgView. And the third way in which you can use it is actually by tapping div class equals ng-view. Easy as that. In general, I tend to use either the element or the attribute way, also because with some older browsers you can prefix it with data-ngview, which will help you in avoiding the weird JavaScript errors in browsers like IE8, for example. So I hope you enjoyed this lesson. With this chapter we are actually concluding the section about routing and views and templating in AngularJS. From the next section onwards, we'll start using a new template. I think you guys will be already tired of seeing just this easy form with first name and last name. It's not even a form, we have no submit button, we have no actual information that we can show on the screen other than whatever the user just typed. But now we start talking about the cool thing in Angular, which is the way that it deals with forms, what is ng-repeat, what is the ng-switch, how to do validation in Angular. There are lots of topics, guys. And I hope you guys are just excited as much as I am. So see you in the next section. We'll start with the brand new template again. I hope you guys are ready for it.